Well, hi guys, welcome to this Facebook Live. It was another decent day for the markets, though one would have to say that by the end of it we ended lower by 1%, but I still don't want to call it a bad day. There seems to be some uncertainty in the markets given what's happening with the US-China trade tariff situation. But I don't think this is the dead end. I don't think that it's going to derail markets in a meaningful manner. And so I said, it was an okay day for the markets. We would love to have questions from you on, the markets, various sectors which are making waves this afternoon, and also any individual stories that you may want clarity on from a market standpoint. But like I said, all in all, it was a decent session. We closed down 1% for the benchmark indices. I know many of you would be like, Tanvir, that's bad. But I still think that there seems to be some uncertainty with regards to what happens with the US-China situation on their trade and bilateral ties. And I think that's why the market is stepping back a bit. I don't think anybody can make a conclusive and meaningful comment that this is going to escalate into something big where there could be a complete breakdown of communication between the two nations. Nobody is going to make a conclusive comment on that as of now. We will see things unfolding in the foreseeable future, in the very near term, and I think that's what the markets are latching onto, and that's why the uncertainty in the markets, and uncertainty is something the markets don't fancy, they don't like, so a bit of a scale back really, so to speak, in today's session. That was pretty much the case with the broader markets too. In individual movers, you had select autos which held out, HUL, ITC managed to close higher, but among the losers it was really across the board, all of the banks, all of the index banks which were under pressure. Let's get in some queries. Questions coming in. There is a question that I have received from, I'm just trying to pronounce your name correctly, but Chempariti, if I've got your name right. What is your view on PSU banks? I think, I've said this time and time again, the story with PSU banks has, been set aside by the market for a bit. You will see an odd day when these banks rally, but after the PNB scam, I think the market's a bit wary of investing in PSU banks, and which is why they have been set aside. I think right now the view on banks per se is also a bit cautious. We had Chakri Lokpriya, a noted market expert, during closing trades today between 2:30 and 4, and he highlighted the fact that he's actually, as a fund manager, scaled back his exposure to Indian banks drastically. They had about 45% exposure till about 2 months back, and they brought it down to 14-15 odd right now, which just reflects that there has been a fair amount of profit booking in the investable names, and one just wants to watch out for how this situation unfolds, not just with the PSU banks but also with ICICI and Axis Bank. So that's the view on the banks struggling with the bad loan mess. And so, I think caution is the word that the street is exercising. Okay, Abhishek has written in, I can read view on auto sector, especially on Ashok Leyland. It's interesting you speak about that, Abhishek, and you asked me a question regarding all, because Ashok Leyland Limited, of course, has been a story primarily based on the revival of the CV cycle. We, in fact, had a discussion today. If you watch the market, between 8 to 10 at 10 o'clock, in fact, we had this discussion, highlighting how CV makers are seeing conclusive signs of demand revival coming through. We spoke with the CV arm of Eicher Motors, and we spoke with some of the other noted players within the segment, and they were pretty much saying that innovation would bring in e-buses, e-trucks. Tesla's already testing those products overseas, so it's only a matter of time that things go into gear 4, gear 5 when it comes to the CV cycle, and I think Ashok Leyland would be a play on that. Now, has the stock run ahead of itself, going past 100? That's a call that you need to take with your financial advisor, in consultation with your financial advisor, but it's in the right space, and the market is focusing on autos as well as CV makers particularly. In fact, Tata Motors, Eicher Motors today were active, maybe because the market was attaching its hopes to the revival in CV demand. Okay, Kamlesh asking about Tata Motors. Many angles to the story. It has underperformed the autos for a while, but enough and more people on the street believe that things could be changing for Tata Motors. Now, again, I can't talk stock specific, so I can't tell you whether to buy, sell, or hold. But what I can tell you is that things may be looking up if their turnaround 2.0 plan is anything to go by with, which the market is kind of taking on board. Then you would see Tata Motors enjoying the spotlight. They have a CV side of the business which could be picking up, which they are trying to push. GLR has done its bit. Some of the markets that GLR is addressing are maturing, so one doesn't really see the upside coming from there. And then the passenger vehicles market, their turnaround 2.0 pretty much is a detailed plan of how they really are looking to come back, and I think the market is watching for that plan to unfold very closely. Again, underperformer, so from a price to earnings perspective, there could be a bit of a discount that you see on Tata Motors compared to peers, but that's for good reason. It's a call really that you have to take with your financial advisor on which way, it's a bull versus bear argument for Tata Motors, and depending on which way one sees the story play out is how one, you could be looking at taking that investment decision. Okay, trying to get in some more questions. Okay, namesake Tanvir has asked me about what happened to the banking sector. It's trending downwards only. Yeah, so Tanvir, strange to say my name to you, but it's all bets are off from the banking sector for now. You'll have to really wait and watch out for what happens in terms of clarity emerging on the ICICI Bank issue. We had, in fact, RBI, or at least there was no official statement, but some of the banking sources indicated that the RBI would be close to giving ICICI Bank a clean sheet in the Videocon loan case. Again, no official communication coming in from the banking regulators, so it's still very murky and uncertain out there. But I think once the clouds clear with regards to the RBI's directive to Axis Bank to reconsider Shikha Sharma's fourth term, or for that matter the controversy that's doing the rounds with ICICI Bank, once the decks have been cleared with regards to this leadership transition that both banks may be facing, I think then at that time investors and analysts will review on what their overall rating for these stocks is, how are they looking at the business prospects and the business outlook for both the banks going forward. And then of course the PSU bank. So I think largely it's all bets off from banks, even though some fund managers who we have been talking to since the start of the session today. We spoke with Harsha Upadhyay of Kotak Mutual Fund, who also said that they're monitoring the situation very closely, and depending on how the news flow pans out, they will actually take a call on their investments. So that's the view on banks. It's really a cautious stance across the board. Deepak has asked about ICICI Securities, and this is the last question I'll take for this Facebook Live session. The company listed today wasn't a big bang listing, and when I was looking at the valuations, it seems a bit steep at 25 times 1 year forward, 30 times 12-year trailing PE compared to the other brokerages, especially at the start. I think if you look at the sector, Motilal Oswal is diversified, Edelweiss is diversified, a pure play brokerage and distribution model. Difficult to say whether it would find confidence in the market. We'll have to see how ISEC does in the future. There's a bit of a sentiment impact also, given that it comes from the ICICI group, which is why you saw the stock not really have a fantastic start and fantastic start. On the indices today. And then of course the broking business with markets reversing course being volatile, one is a bit concerned and a bit circumspect about that business as a whole. But take a look at the peer group, India Infoline Holdings, Edelweiss, as well as Motilal Oswal, even Georgia BNP Paribas for that matter. Understand their business models and then compare that to ICICI ICICI Securities, because they are also into the broking business, but they also have de-risked their business models by diversifying into other business streams too and other business lines as well. So that's the comparison you need to draw and then take an investment decision. I'm completely out of time. Thanks very much all of you for joining in and tuning in for this Facebook Live. We'll catch you tomorrow. Same time.